There's just something that I put out there. I don't know. Every time though.
You
Well,
know,
usually the older one wants to ask so that.
the older one, that's wisdom on your part, Danielle, because he's always the one asking. But it's a fun thing that we have going every time here, because every time it's so far, I don't know, it's been undefeated. Everyone picks him as the older.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
love it. I love it.
You know what's funny is, well, you know, my wife and I don't have any kids yet. Jay's got three, so I always use that as the excuse. He's got that kid vibe. You know, he's the father between me and him. So
Yes,
that,
Yeah.
and kids
that
will age you a little bit, won't they?
yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
exactly.
they will. Yes, they
He's
will.
got it on his voice. He's got it on his looks.
My
But
hair, I got some gray hair coming in. You can't see it,
I
but
don't see
it's up
that.
there. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, awesome. Well, appreciate you being on, Danielle. We'll go ahead and get started. I was reading in your bio that you went to ORU. Is that right?
I did. I graduated from ORU in December of '99.
nice.
Awesome. So for those of y'all who don't know who are watching this, ORU is in our stomping grounds, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's actually across the street from where Jay and I went to school, Victory Christian.
The high school, yeah.
So we were neighbors there for a little bit, maybe. When did you finish at ORU?
I finished in December of '99, and actually, my oldest is a graduate of Victory.
Okay.
Nice.
I have two boys currently in the high school at Victory. So,
Nice.
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 It's a great
Yeah.
school. Where'd you go to high school? That
well, I was originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
oh, okay.
So I came to Tulsa to attend ORU. So I went
Nice.
to a school up north nobody's probably ever heard of that's on this call.
Jay
Gotcha.
actually has some of his in-laws are from Indiana. Isn't that right, Jay?
Yeah, yeah. My wife's dad's side, they're from Rensselaer, Indiana. They're all they're all Chicago Cubs fans and they are Hoosiers fans. So
Hoosiers,
Yeah.
Cubs, Blackhawks, Bears,
yep,
all of them. Yep,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
awesome. Well, we're really excited to have you on, and yeah, we're just going to just be asking you a few questions just to see what wealth of knowledge you could share with us and some nuggets of wisdom, if you will. But why don't you start off just by telling us how you initially got into the business and just a little bit of background on your company.
Sure, absolutely. So as I mentioned, went to ORU, graduated with an education degree. I taught for a very short time before I had my daughter, my oldest, who actually turns 21 on Monday,
Nice.
and stayed home for 13 years. And then at the time, my ex-husband was a home builder. And so real estate and home building just kind of go hand in hand. And I had a lot of people that told me they thought I would be really good at real estate. And I never understood that because in the home building business, when you come across agents, a lot of them were very aggressive and pushy and seemed quite greedy. So I thought, I don't think I fit that mold. I don't have that strong personality. But over time, I gave in and got my license. And, it's become a really good fit for me. I love that I have a flexible schedule. I love that every transaction is different. So it's never the same thing twice. And I really love the relationships that it has allowed me to build through the business and just through meeting a lot of diverse people. After my first year, I started out with a really small brokerage, mainly because I didn't want to give a large percentage of my commission away. And this smaller brokerage allowed a better commission split for me as a new agent. And then after a year, they decided to close their office in Tulsa. So I interviewed with all the brokerages. I mean, you name it, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Chenoweth, all the brokerages in Tulsa. And I was just feeling defeated because I felt no one valued me and the production I had, and everybody wanted to still take a huge chunk. It was all about, what could I do for them instead of what they could do for me as a new agent. So I was working with a business coach at the time because anyone close to me knows that I'm very relational, but I'm not super business minded. So I had somebody who was kind of helping me just learn business and how to go about doing business. And he suggested to open my own brokerage. And I had told him that that was a goal of mine in the future. And when he mentioned it, I just, I didn't think much about it. I did pray about it for about 24 hours. And then I just jumped right in. And, you know, if you know real estate, you have to have your license 2 years before you can open a brokerage. And I had only been an agent for a year. So the brokerage that closed, I brought over a gentleman named Lincoln Brown. He's been in the business now over 30 years, but he became our managing broker. So I was the owner, he was the managing broker, and we were able to launch Sprick Realty at that time. Um, so now here we are about 5 years later, and God has just tremendously blessed our business.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. Something you said stood out to me, and I'd like for you to camp on it a little bit. But you said that you're not super businessy, but
Right.
you're very relational, and that to me stands out because our business is relational. Talk about just those traits that you have, your personality. That when you assess yourself, you see yourself as a relationship person more than a business person, and how that's kind of helped your career.
Sure. I think, when you say that initially, I'm not that type A personality where I have spreadsheets and I keep track of every call I make and things like that. I just go about my day in a normal, average way. And when it comes to relationships, when I started in the business, I really thought about my business in this way. I thought, how would I want someone to treat me? If I was the consumer, I was the buyer or the seller, what would I want my agent to do for me? And so that was really the foundation of how I built my business. So of course we're in sales, but for me it's more of a service industry. I want to serve my clients. I want to do things where when they walk away at the end of the transaction, they are really just blown away by the way that I have been a blessing to them and their family. Some of the ways I do that, one in particular, um, for a seller on moving day, they pack up their moving truck and we bring a cleaning crew in and clean their house for them. As you know, if you've ever moved, moving is a chore. And you get that moving truck packed and it's just like, last thing you want to do is go back in and clean where the fridge was and behind the washer and dryer and things like that. So we just say, you know what, just relax and we will handle the deep cleaning for you. And I cannot tell you how many times sellers are almost in tears. Some of them have cried just saying, wow, you're going to do that for me? But it's just a practical way that I can bless my clients and serve them. So it's building those relationships and that rapport so that in the future, when they think of real estate, they immediately think, oh, you've got to use Danielle. This is what she did for us.
Yeah. Can you camp on that a little bit more? That's incredible. I've never heard of someone doing that for their clients. Can you just kind of sit there for a second on that specific service? That sounds expensive. Like, so like, how do you like do that for every listing you have? And yeah, what does that actually look like in terms of kind of the granular side of it, like the cost of it, and how does that affect the revenue and things like that?
Sure. So, I'm sure you've heard many times in this business, it's important to build relationships. And you have
Hmm.
people that you're aligned with, your lenders, your title company, your um, inspectors. In my business, with the ways that I serve my clients, I'm also partnering with these services that I'm offering them. So when it comes to the financial aspect of it, I am giving this cleaning company one client after another, and they probably do 25 to 30 homes for me in a year. So they have cut me a really good deal. And what
Hmm.
they're finding out is when they do that for me, the client typically will hire them to continue the services.
Mm.
So It's just looking at it as a broad spectrum, not so narrow-minded, and saying, if this is a long-term relationship and I continue to bless you with clientele and, the opportunity to make money yourself, how can we make this a lucrative situation for both of us?
Yeah, that's awesome. So is that kind of a rule for your entire business, all your agents that you have working for your brokerage, that's just kind of what you guys do, those types of services, or is that kind of a different agents can do whatever they want kind of thing?
We have some standards within our brokerage, but that is not one of them. I do
Okay.
encourage my agents to really think outside the box and bless their clients in a way that makes sense to them.
Yeah.
Several of them do follow suit and have taken on and adopted this way of thinking, but not
Okay.
all of them. So
Okay. Gotcha. And then just kind of go 30,000 feet on lead generation, or, I know you said you're more about building relationships, and you don't get like super granular as far as like, I'm going to make 15 calls per day or something like that. But, what does that look like? How do you get to where you are right now, where you're doing that many transactions in a year? Obviously, there's been a lot of activity done over the last, 5 years. What does that look like on a day to day for you?
I'm organically speaking, when you talk about relationships, I think it's just being a real person.
Yeah.
When you're out and you're meeting people, it's not being a salesperson, it's just being genuine and kind. And, one of the platforms that I've utilized a lot is social media, especially when I first started. You've got to kind of get your name out there, and you want people to think of you when they think real estate. And so social media has been a great platform for me to post about my successes. I try to keep it very balanced, personal and business, so that I'm not wearing people out with my business constantly. And the little touches that I do, I make sure I post about those, because I do know that it's not the norm for the business and for our industry. And I have found that it really grabs people's attention. So as far as, lead generation and things like that, I really am just about contacting my center of influence. I keep in touch with my current clients. So do things like at Christmas time, I have a cookie company that I utilize, and they make beautiful sugar cookies, and they decorate them, and I have them put my client's last name on one cookie, and I box them in a really pretty hat box. And then my husband and we hand deliver them to the clients.
Mm.
And just little touches like that to keep connected with them. And I will tell you, doing something that small and that little really does make them want to work with you in the future. That you just are constantly brought to their memory when they think real estate.
I think that that FaceTime is really important too. Like, instead of just having something sent to them via mail, actually hand delivering it obviously takes a lot longer. Obviously, is a lot more time consuming, and people, whether consciously or subconsciously, I think they notice that and appreciate that. That that had to, for as busy as you are, Danielle. I mean, that had to take you a long time to do this for all your clients. And so, I think like actually showing up and then having that conversation, getting to hang out with them for a little bit, um, it's even more so than the actual gift you brought over. So that's incredible.
Try it
You
previously.
know,
Oh, go
the
ahead.
other thing sorry, no, I was just gonna say, I'm taking some awesome notes from some of the things that you're saying, and one thing that really stands out is that you're a genuine person. We talked about this in one of our recent interviews. Is just like the genuineness of just being real and being authentic. So talk about just this might be a weird question, but stick with me with this. But recently in the Bible study, we talked about this verse in Psalms where David is saying to God, is like, search me, search the innermost parts of me, search anything that is not cool, like is offensive to you.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of us that are out there, if we're being super honest with ourselves, like, we don't always feel like being nice. We don't always feel like being courteous. We don't always feel like, just people and relationships can be work, right? Talk about the traits of just being a real person and having a mentality of serving them, which you've said a number of times in your talk so far, that's amazing. Like to be able to do that consistently. But what about if people don't feel like they're that good at that, right? And that's the thing that gets people to trust you, right? Is those traits. So I guess my question is, what would you advise for someone that feels like they don't have those things as naturally as maybe someone like you do?
That's a tough question. I haven't really ever thought about that before. I think
How do you not be you? Yeah.
yeah, and just naturally, I have a nurturing spirit. My first love and calling is to being a mom, and so I just try to be that motherly person to everyone around me. Um, it's hard to say, what do you do if you don't have those traits? I can say one thing that has really, this is kind of going off topic a little bit. It also does connect. When I first became an agent, Tulsa market's pretty saturated with real estate agents. And so I was trying to figure out how to really set myself apart. And I can talk about my services, but until you have somebody with a testimony saying this is what she did for me and putting it out there, you're not really selling yourself. Um, so when I would sit on open houses and I would meet perfect strangers, I would talk to them about whether or not they had a home to sell. And if they did, I would tell them that I would reduce my commission if I could help them then purchase a home. And, I can't tell you how many people would just immediately build trust in me and were in shock that I would give up, because the average home in Tulsa is about 200 to 250,000. So, that's $2,000, $2,500 that I'm just giving back to that client who I don't even really know. And many times people would say, wow, my brother is in real estate and he won't even do that for me. And so that's just one bit of, information of how I got started, how I started meeting people outside of my circle of influence. Um, but when it comes to characteristics of someone opposite of me, I don't really know how to encourage them. It's just like sales. Either you have it or you don't. Either you're a loving, empathetic, genuine person, or you're not. It's a hard thing to help train somebody to be something that they're not.
Yeah.
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 Would you agree though that part of the business being so relational that it does kind of put you in positions where um, you can, self, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the improvement of your character, right, can sometimes be enhanced by the exposure of your business and what your business takes you through. Like it's either going to make you a better person or a worse person. Like, can you speak to just what your thoughts are on the business itself, like the things that it puts you through? There can be some tests in there, right? There could be a situation. I just had to deal with you where I was really nervous to call you to give you the update
I remember.
about Aurora. And to my surprise, you were super calm and you were super cool. And I was like, man, it was a blessing to me because I'm used to getting like, chewed out a little bit. And I wouldn't have blamed them. I wouldn't have blamed you because, it was a rough situation, but you had this calmness about you. So I guess I'm kind of just on this ramble here, but I guess, do you think that it's possible to have those opportunities in the business where you're actually improving character because of those situations that you're facing?
Absolutely. I think in life in general, when we're faced with hardships, we go through those hardships and they really shape us into who God wants us to be ultimately. No doubt, real estate is an up and down roller coaster ride of emotions. And I hear that a lot, that I'm just kind of a steady Eddie. I don't get real upset. I've dealt with agents on the other side. If something doesn't close right on time, you're hearing from them every single day until it closes. And um, luckily, I'm blessed with, my husband is really the breadwinner in our family. So I've not had the stress of having to provide for my family. And I guess when you step back and you look at some of these agents who are providing and you look at it in that aspect, you could understand why it's a stressful time for them. And for me, I just, my faith is also a big part of who I am and how I do business. And I just have this trust in God that things happen how they're supposed to. And He's never let me down yet. But yeah, we definitely do face challenges. And I think it's just, one of my agents the other day had a really tough situation, and the other agent was very, very unkind in the way she was speaking. And I just told my agent, I said, just kill them with kindness. No matter what, take the high road, try to control your tongue. And it's that golden rule, do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. So when someone's treating you in a way that you don't like it and you prefer not to be treated, then flip it back onto how you would want to be treated and then reciprocate that.
I love that. I love that. I just posted about that today. It's so weird that scripture. I was hit pretty hard this morning just by like I'm challenged by love today. There's all these scriptures I was reading about love and loving your enemies and all that. So it's crazy you said that. How do you get through the difficult times though? Maybe for someone who's just starting out, and they are buying into what you're saying, that they need to focus on friends, not funnels, right? And like actually building real relationships and kind of putting the business and the transaction aside and try to get to know people and serve people. But we still have to pay the bills, right? And especially starting out, it can be pretty nerve-wracking when you don't have anything in the works. You start to get a little desperate. How do you I guess practically get through those times and like emotionally get through those times and kind of stick to your guns of, this is going to work, this is, if I keep doing this and stay consistent and really just be genuine, authentic with people and really try to get to know people for them, not just for the transaction. How do you do that practically when you're starting out?
That's another tough question, because again, I did go through a divorce, which was a really trying time for me, not just emotionally, but very financially. And so I went through that season of feeling very stressed about my pipeline and looking ahead to what I had coming in so that I knew I could provide for my kids and for myself. And so I understand the stress of that. And I know some agents have, gotten a part-time job aside from real estate, just until their real estate really gets going, they have that steady income coming in where at least their necessities are met in the time being. One of the other components to me as when I started out that I feel was a little bit of a bonus to my success was, which it does cost money, so it kind of contradicts what you're saying, but I would go to a cookie shop nearby and get about a dozen cookies. And then I had a one-page marketing sheet about myself. And I would go to my kid's pediatrician and eye doctor, and I went to a divorce attorney, and I went to a couple country clubs, and I would deliver these cookies with my one sheet. And, the first time you do it, they thank you and you go on. But after you repeat that, I usually would do it twice a month, and I did it for 6 months. They always knew when I came in, they were getting cookies. And then before you knew it, they wanted to talk to me. And then I was building relationships, and then I was gaining clients because of the repetition of just being consistent and being there in front of them. So I know that doesn't completely answer your question, but that was one way that I also helped build my business when I was new.
Yeah. It's just that consistency.
Mhm.
I like the part-time idea. That's a super practical. That
Yeah.
might just be the solution for some people. Especially super early on when you're literally just now telling people that you've just started this new career. To span your way to that first one or three transactions. Can you go into more of the maybe don't share all your secrets, but can you go into like maybe one or two more of those out of the box, uh, services that you do for clients that, the first one you mentioned, I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
So maybe there's one or two more of those that you have that
Yeah,
you could share with us.
absolutely. Another one is on moving day. It doesn't matter if they're a seller or a buyer. My husband and I get their pizza order. We tell them, whoever's helping them move, tell us how many
Yeah.
pizzas you want, what are the toppings, what's your favorite pizza place. We provide the drinks, the pizza, and then everything to go along with it, the cups, the plates, the napkins. And then we personally hand deliver the pizza to them, to their new home. We get to meet all their friends and family that are helping them move, and we're providing them a meal. And, we
Awesome.
could pick up the
That's
phone.
so cool.
That
Yeah.
is
That's
such a gold nugget. That is crazy. Wow.
I've never heard of that. That is
That
amazing.
is incredible. How do you come up with this stuff?
Well,
I think
like
you
I
should write a
said,
book.
Yeah.
thanks. Like I said, starting out, I just was trying to think outside the box on how I would want to be treated if I was the one buying or selling. And as a mom, I know what it's like. Moving day is rough. And I've gone through moving day, and you don't have any of your dishes. You can order pizza, you can pick up the phone and get delivery, but this is just a way that we can really reach out to our clients, show that we care. And it's twofold, because you're giving them a service, you're providing this meal for them and their loved ones, but at the same time you're getting to meet their circle of influence that's right there closest to them. And so many times people say, "What? You're the real estate agent and you're delivering pizza?" So we don't do the gift card at closing to Lowe's for $30. Instead, we spend typically it's about $100 to $130 for a pizza party. And that's a little bit more than what a lot of agents spend, but I will tell you that it comes back tenfold. It always does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, just the thought that, that's a memory that you just etched in everybody's heads that experienced that. And they'll never forget you again, that you were the person that just brought a little bit of a relief to their day with pizza and drinks, a smile, shaking their hands, meeting everyone. Like that's awesome. I absolutely love
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, so my question is, we'll kind of wrap up here. Um, but one of my last questions for you is, talk about just the piece of, that. What would you consider kind of the things that you would organize for your day to day? I know you kind of touched on some of the stuff that you do, but just on a day to day, keeping a consistency of, and it's not even about, having to, like track everything on a certain way, or, but how does that work for you? Just your day to day, as far as what you're doing every day. Is it like a certain number of calls that you're doing? Is it just kind of fielding the incoming, like just the organic activity that you kind of do on a day to day basis?
I've just been really blessed to be far enough in my business that I'm not having to make cold calls. I'm not having to knock on doors. God has just really blessed us with referral business, and it stays pretty steady and pretty consistent. We worked really hard on getting good Google reviews early on, and we worked on our SEO, and so we're pretty high in Google. So we do get some leads that come through Google, but otherwise, pretty much everything that comes in for me, they know somebody that has done business with me, or they've heard of me from some other outlet. Um, so yeah, but my day to day, my kids will tell you some days I'll say, "Mom has today off. What do you guys want to do?" And then by 2 o'clock, I'm like, "Oh, I got to go show some houses." I really, um, my family knows that I have boundaries around my time, but I also make myself very much available. I can tell you there's been countless times I've written offers at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or I'm negotiating offers. I pick up my phone when it rings. If it's my clients or one of my agents calling, they always know that I'm readily available. I have a good friend who they're looking to move back here from Naples soon. And he said he was looking at properties and he said, it's really frustrating because it seems like agents just don't answer their phone. And so that's one thing I try to do on a regular basis is answer my phone and be available to people throughout my day, regardless of whether I'm at, my boys' golf tournament or I'm eating lunch with a friend. I keep that phone pretty close to me so that I can continue to work my business day in and day out.
Yeah. I got a couple more and then we'll probably, what time is it? Probably need to wrap up here. But first of all, is asking for referrals a big part of your business, or do you just kind of let them, people are so wowed by all your incredible
Yeah, I'd say
services. I don't even think you need to ask, but is
yeah.
that part of your business, or do you more so let that come in naturally? And then if it is part of your business, how do you go about it?
So that's one thing I really struggle with. I do not
Mm,
like asking people to give me a referral. Now, my husband, on the other hand, he doesn't mind asking, and he does a lot of the building of the relationships with me. Like I said, he goes with me to deliver the pizza. If I'm showing property, a lot of times he'll go with me if he's not doing his own job. So he's been really good at asking. He came up with an idea for any given month. He'll send out an email to those clients from that month and he does a giveaway. So he'll say, if you'll leave a review, we're giving away, a QT gift card or dinner somewhere to one person who leaves a review. And it just prompts them to do it. But 9 times out of 10, when he just will mention it to them, they usually always will do it. But you'll see, I have a lot of clients that haven't left reviews, and it's because I don't push it. It's just not my personality. As I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, I don't have a real aggressive personality. And, I wouldn't want somebody constantly hounding me to leave a review for them. And so I tend to shy away from that. Although I know it could potentially really help my business if I did ask for it more often. It's not my forte.
yeah. See, I resonate with you on that. I sometimes call Zoe frustrated about some of the things that I'm supposed to do, as a mortgage person. And I'm just like, bro, if it was me on the other end, I wouldn't like to get this call. So I don't
Right.
want to make this call. And so I'm constantly trying to figure out, okay, I hate like irritating people or kind of having that feeling like I think I'm irritating someone. Like I could never go door to door because I do not like getting like a soliciting, you know, knock on my door. Cold calling's hard for me. So um it's actually really encouraging to hear that you have that personality too, and you're kind of, real careful about, irritating people, and then you've grown to this level of success. So, for those of you out there that, kind of feel the same way, you should feel encouraged because I guess you don't have to be a super aggressive person. But on that line, just comparing kind of how your husband goes about asking for referrals and how you go about it, do you see any increase in the number of referrals he gets because he asks versus your way of just kind of letting it naturally come in? Like, is it worth doing it his way or no?
It is worth doing it his way because I
Okay.
think the average person doesn't realize how much the reviews boost your business, especially
Okay.
nowadays when everybody's online and they're doing their research online, trying to find the next, whatever they're looking for. They're looking at reviews. And so I think for the average person, they probably aren't a business owner. And so they don't know how important those reviews would be for someone like myself who does own their business and people are looking. So
Gotcha.
yes, his way of doing things has helped greatly, and I am thankful to be able to benefit from that.
Gotcha. So he doesn't ask for referrals, he asks for reviews and
Reviews
gives
is
a
what I meant.
gotcha.
When it comes to referrals, sorry, maybe I mixed up what you were asking.
No, it's
Um,
okay.
I don't ask for referrals ever,
Okay. Okay.
but
Okay.
reviews we do. So I'm sorry, I might have mixed what you were saying there.
No, I'm tracking with you. I
Yeah.
got it. Okay. Cool. That's
Yeah.
incredible information.
Yeah. Yeah. So last question I got for you, Danielle, is just give us quick insight to your goals for this year. What do you see for you and your company a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What's in front of you? What are you shooting for?
Well, we're in exciting times right now with Sprick Realty. Our best friends are partnering with us in the business this year. Moving here the 1st of April, we're building out a brand new office, and just know that God has great things in store for us. We're hoping to really build our brokerage and bring agents on. The new office space is really going to allow us the room to bring agents on and to foster those relationships. I love mentoring the new agents. I love coaching them. I always tell any of my agents, anytime they want to shadow me or if they're going to a listing appointment and they just need that support system with them, I go along with them. So just really making myself available to our agents and growing our brokerage. Obviously, I still want to maintain my sales and what I'm doing, but I think that amazing things are on the horizon for Sprick Realty. And so we're pretty excited about what God has in store.
It's incredible. You probably have a long line out the door of agents trying to trying to work with you, because it just seems like your personality is just so that's the kind of person I would want to work for. And you started out talking about how you had a hard time finding a brokerage when you were starting out, because they're all kind of heavy on the commission splits, and just kind of felt like they didn't support. It was more so you supporting their business. And so I guess my last question, sorry Zoe, is just like, how have you taken that personality and turned it around, and you're offering that kind of culture and brokerage that people would want to work at?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the compliment on my personality. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's again back to that golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. We're really trying to put together a business model that blesses our agents just as we are blessed by having them there. So we're not out for making the most money. We want it to be our brokerage to be a tool for them to build their business in a successful way without them feeling like we're nickeling and diming them. So, with our best friends moving in and us partnering together, it gives us the ability to be more flexible on that specifically.
Gotcha.
But yes, I definitely think that we have a different mindset than the average brokerage, and I'm happy. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. Such good stuff. Danielle, you've been awesome. Thanks so much. Before we close off here, we'll just open it up for those who are on the call for just a little quick Q&A. Anyone that's on the call have any questions for Danielle?
Danielle, thank you so much for your time. This is Darcy. I don't have my camera on, sorry, but thank you so much for your time, and your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you seem like you really know what you're doing in the business. It's great learning from you. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, Darcy.
Sure, no problem.
I took lots of notes. This is probably the most notes I've taken. I usually don't take notes either, so that says something.
I love pizza, so that one just gets me. Like a pizza party on moving day.
That's just crushing it right there. I love that.
Thank you, guys. We don't advertise our services, but I do post on social media. Sometimes I'll have a stack of pizzas this high and I'm holding them, and it does get a lot of attention. People are very surprised that we do that. So
I love that you don't advertise it, because it's probably a huge surprise to the client when you actually show up with pizza, because they weren't expecting it. So that's probably I like that you don't talk about it that much. That's cool.
And what a great way to show people that you care. You know what I mean? Like to actually physically show up on moving day with food, and everyone loves pizza. So you bring in like one of the favorites. I say it all the time. People don't care about what you know until they know that you care. And that's such a practical way to do that. Like
Yeah.
You really care about your clients when you're doing that. Like, so that speaks volumes, and no wonder it's just a natural, referral thing for them, because it's like, you've etched that in their brains. You're that person for them.
Well, I'm just thinking, we've moved, obviously several times in our lives, and every time we move, like this last time we moved into this home that we're in right now, the whole family helped, and we had some friends, and there was quite a few of us. And when we got done, we ordered pizza. We went and got some beer, and we all partied because we were done. And I just think I wouldn't be able to help just like really being interested in the realtor that would do that for us and like come over and bring all that pizza, hang out with us, and just party with us. That's just, I don't know. If that was the only service you did, that's probably all you have to do. That's just a crazy good service right there. Awesome job. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity of just letting me be here today and to share, bits and pieces of how I've grown my business. So I appreciate you guys very much.
Yeah, for sure. I learned a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you too, Danielle. So yeah, we'll wrap it up. If anyone does have any other questions that they didn't get in, just feel free to put it in the group chat or the Facebook post. And yeah, we'll obviously be posting this recording for those who weren't on the call. So we'll wrap it up. Once again, Danielle, you were awesome. Thanks so much for being here. And yeah, everybody have a blessed day and take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Danielle. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.